Broadcasting to the Wizarding World since 2008.
HPANA's official Harry Potter podcast.
Official Harry Potter podcast.
This is Hogwarts Radio. This is Hogwarts Radio, episode 216 for October 7th, 2018. Hogwarts Radio's HPANA.com's podcast discussing all things Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, and the rest of the Wizarding World. For the quickest up-to-date news on the franchise, make sure you check out HPANA.com. Hello everyone, and this is Hogwarts Radio, broadcasting to Harry Potter fans worldwide since 2008. I'm Terrance Pinkston.
I'm Bailey Riddle.
I'm Luke Hogan.
And I'm Gretchen Rush.
Our show can be found virtually anywhere online, such as iTunes, the Google Podcast app, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Radio Public, and other places where podcasts are aggregated.
It doesn't matter where or how you listen, just make sure to tap the subscribe button, and we guarantee you'll have a new episode each Sunday.
We also invite you to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram so you'll never miss an update from the show.
Don't forget, Hogwarts Radio is also on Patreon. By pledging, you'll have instant access to many benefits, including exclusive merchandise, host vlogs, behind-the-scenes planning of the show, Hogshead Radio, and much more. Visit patreon.com/Hogwarts Radio to sign up today. Welcome to episode 216 of our fantastically fantastic podcast of Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic intro.
Was that enough fantastic for us?
And
No.
my headphones, my headphones came unclipped. Wow, I didn't hear
That's
anything.
how fantastic it was.
That's how fantastic.
We were
Yeah,
so excited.
just blew me away. Hey, speaking of excitement, J.K. Rowling liked our tweet a few weeks ago. Yay!
What?
Yeah, that was crazy.
I feel like we've officially made it in the Harry Potter world.
We're done. We can quit now.
That's it. Yeah. Bye, guys.
215 in. We've arrived.
It was funny because I saw her doing her morning tweeting, I guess it was, whenever I was in London. And I said, oh, you know what? This might be a good time to see if I could try to get her attention. So I tweeted, good morning. Here's a trio of Harry Otters to make your day even brighter, something like that. I can't find the exact tweet, but and then have a great day. And then she liked it. And I was like, aw. And it was quick, too, because she was like one of the first 6 people to like it.
She's been waiting for you to tweet this week.
I know. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm slacking.
Those Harry Otters just really made her day.
Those were really cute, though. She has a thing for otters, in case anybody is wondering. But yeah, that was exciting. And Gretchen, you have some pretty exciting news yourself. You went to the city yesterday.
Yeah, so I went to the Harry Potter History of Magic exhibit at the New York Historical Society, and I'd never been to the Historical Society, so that was cool too. But it was incredible. It's a ticketed entry, and it's timed, so every hour they let people in. So it's really not too bad going through the exhibit. It's full, but it's not like you can't read everything. I read everything that they had in probably an hour, and it's just incredible. They had several rooms, and they were all themed. So there was like a divination room, defense against the dark arts room, a arithmancy room with like a crystal ball that you could touch, and it showed something different when you touched it. And you could do a palm reading with like cards that read your fate. So there was a bunch of interactive stuff that was cool. And then they also had real books that were like hundreds of years old. There was one from, I think, 300 CE.
Wow.
And they had J.K. Rowling's original like sketches. So there were sketches of like Madame Pomfrey, where she Rowling and Vision, and then outlines of Order of the Phoenix, where she outlined every chapter and what was going to be in it. And there were like original ideas for chapter titles that didn't make it into the book. So like one of the original ones was Offense Against the Dark Arts.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was so cool. And then it had a bunch of artwork from the American illustrators. There were a bunch of real things from like the Museum of Witchcraft. So like broomsticks and runes. And it was just incredible. It was huge, and it was gorgeous. beautiful. And then everything that you could see was incredible. And also, if you can't get into the exhibition because it is selling out really quickly, you can still go to the Historical Society, and there are 2 displays that are outside the ticketed one. So you can still see all of the illustrators. They did Q&As with the illustrators. You can see a bunch of international copies of the books, and you can see the costumes for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, like a big display of that.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
So it was incredible. It was really, really incredible. It was so worth it. It was only like $20 to go, and we just had to take the train down to see it. And it's right by Central Park, and you don't feel like you're in the hustle and bustle of Manhattan, which is awesome. And it was a really incredible experience. And there's all these kids there, and they're dressed up, and I was dressed up, of course, and there's a bunch of stuff in the gift shop that you can get, and they had like house sweaters that were 100% wool, made by the same people who costumed the movies, which was amazing. I just got a magnet. I couldn't afford the sweater, but if you can, I recommend it.
You got a magnetic sweater? That's awesome.
At home.
I'm ready to book my trip to New York now.
Seriously, it was so cool. And it's only there until like January 27th.
Wow.
So it's a limited time.
Is it going anywhere?
It was awesome.
Is it going anywhere else after?
That's a good question. I haven't been able to find out that answer yet. I'm assuming it is. That would be my guess, but
Like a traveling
the other
exhibit,
thing is
yeah.
it like uses a lot of things from the Historical Society. So there's a lot of things that they had originally, and then stuff that they've borrowed from other museums, stuff that's on loan from the British Library. So it's kind of like they've curated their own exhibition. So I don't know if maybe other places will also do a similar thing where they use their own things plus the British Library plus other museums. So I don't know. That would be awesome.
So this opened up, on Thursday officially? Does that sound right?
It opened on Thursday, yep, and I went on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Because the only reason I know that specifically is because that's when my pre-ordered History of Magic unabridged audiobook version of the tour came available as well. The Natalie Dormer narrated tour of that. And a lot of things that you're saying is a lot of things that I've heard in kind of the descriptions of them. And it just, the audiobook is awesome. Like it is totally, totally worth getting. It sounds like it would be a perfect companion for the things that you are seeing as well. So I hear you talking about these 300, CE, or BC different items. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's, I heard about these old manuscripts and books and where she's drawing inspiration from. And it's been really, really neat listening to it. And like they break it up into different subjects, just like they have the Ringo, Defense Against the Dark Arts, herbology, divination, all of these different things, potions, and they bring it back. I mean, historical reference after another on, hey, this is like historically where witchcraft fit into. I mean, a lot of times it was just, hey, this is just medicine, and guess what? But that's all we got. So either it's going to work or it's not. Let's keep trying things. And it's also really, really cool that with a lot of the artwork involved and a lot of the behind the scenes crafting of the stories, they have interviews in the audiobook with Jim Dale, Stephen Fry, Jim Kay. So you actually hear the voices of the people making the voices or making the illustrations from the illustrated editions. And I think he also, Jim Kay, did specific artwork for the exhibition, is what it sounded like. So just hearing the voices of the ones creating these things with Joe's input and hearing their take on what it was like, especially, Jim Dale and Stephen Fry, they started recording these, 18 years ago. So they've had a long standing relationship with JK at this point. And it's incredibly worth listening to. And it sounds like the tour itself is incredibly worth going to. So highly recommend both.
Yeah, it was cool. And you can get the Natalie Dormer little exhibition audiobook tour and then listen to it while you're going through. It prompts you. So it says like start number 1 here, start number 2 here. And I saw a lot of people doing that. I chose not to just because I wanted to read and look around. So I listened to it after, and it was really cool to listen to it after too. And she's like, "Oh, look at the Ripley scroll." And I'm like, "Yes, the Ripley scroll. I saw that."
Yeah.
So it's great either way. It was really cool. And I'm definitely going to get the full audiobook of that because the interviews sound incredible and all the extra content. I can't wait.
Yeah, I recommend it for anyone who's into audiobooks in general, or Harry Potter, obviously, or even just history in general. There's a lot of really cool outside of anything to do with Harry Potter related items that are just fascinating. I'm a history buff, so I mean, even if I wasn't involved in Harry Potter the way we are, I still would enjoy listening to this audiobook for sure.
Absolutely. And one of the really cool things they had there was they had like the giant trunk. I don't know if you guys remember this. I didn't realize this at the time, but I guess before Half-Blood Prince came out, libraries could enter to win a copy. Do you remember this?
I don't remember that.
No. See, I didn't remember either, but they had so I guess what happened is you entered to win a copy, and it was a school or a library in North Carolina that won. And so they took a copy of the book, and I'm pretty sure it was signed by Joe, and they put it in a plastic safety thing and then put it in an absolutely enormous luggage trunk that would have looked like what the kids bring to school, to Hogwarts. And it was decorated with a bunch of stickers. And when I say huge, this thing was probably 5 feet tall and like 10 feet long.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. It was enormous. And they had it there on display before you go into the exhibition. So even if you couldn't get tickets to it, you could still go look at that too, in addition to the other ones. And that was just crazy. And there's a little video explaining the whole process and showing Joe like signing the book and then putting it on display, or putting it in the protective thing and putting it away. So that was really cool too. And then also in the exhibition, they had, it was just like a hanger hanging. And I was like, what is this? And so I walk over to look at it, and it's the invisibility cloak. And it says like authentic invisibility cloak donated by anonymous donor or something.
Nice.
I was like, I see you.
You know,
I love those jokes. Those will never get old.
No, never get old. I loved it. And the kids there really loved it too. It was cool because like you've got the history and everything for the adults who maybe don't like Harry Potter, and then the kids just love looking at the illustrations and doing the interactive things. And like, I really can't recommend it enough. For $22 or whatever it was that I paid, it was such an incredible experience.
You know, it's super cool that if history has taught us anything, it's that history is always kind of frowned on magic, like witches, and it's always taboo. But now we're studying it in museums. I think that's a really cool thing.
I think that's incredibly attributed to what J.K. Rowling has done. I mean, yeah, it's been in pop culture, and yeah, the fantasy genre, the sci-fi genres have developed a lot over the past 50 years from not just being fairy tales. They've matured and changed over the years, and I think that's just a sign of the times of where the literature surrounding witchcraft is these days, as opposed to, hey, this is just someone that's likely a minority, subjugated type person, outcast in society. And that's something they actually get into in the audiobook. And I'm sure they kind of discussed that in the tour itself. But a lot of the times the people that were being claimed as witches were women, elderly, outcasts in society, disabled people. And I think maybe it's a sign of where society is potentially going, that it's not just those people that are being put down and putting this bad moniker on. So hopefully that's a positive direction for society to go. I'm hopeful, at least.
Well, check it out if you have the chance in New York City, a History of Magic exhibit. And Gretchen, where is it located?
So it's on, I believe the street is Central West or something like that, but it's right next to the Museum of Natural History. We actually went there before the exhibit, which was cool. And it's right across from Central Park. So if you just walk down 8th, you'll get to it.
So they don't have any dinosaur bones at the Harry Potter exhibit, right?
That's why I had to go to the Museum of Natural History. I was like, I came here to see dinosaur bones too, so like I had to stop there first. Yeah.
I saw your Instagram post, and I was like,
Get your
okay,
fix.
Let's figure out where she actually changes museums.
Yeah, I was like, I should make it really clear when I've stopped being at the Museum of Natural History.
We should intertwine it to confuse people.
A little title page, yeah. I have moved on now. Now we're looking at
dinosaurs are extinct.
Guys, dinosaurs no longer exist.
Magical dinosaurs do.
Well, we've gotten some really interesting news over the past week and a half since we've been off, and there's not a lot to go through, but a lot of interesting things to go through, like a new game, right, Gretchen?
Yeah, so this was a video that leaked. Did you guys get a chance to watch it?
I didn't see the video, but I saw stills from it.
Okay, because I didn't get a chance to see the video, and I went to look at it this morning, and I think it's been taken down, which is very interesting because I don't think they'd take it down if it was fake.
Right.
But maybe. So there was a video that leaked of a role-play game of Harry Potter, and a BBC journalist tweeted about it and said, I'm told this is from a yet-to-be-announced RPG currently titled Harry Potter Magic Awakened. Although other titles, including Magic Forever, were also in the mix. Other Potter games are also thought to be on the way. So apparently this game is set in the 1800s. It's a third-person open-world action RPG, and it centers around your character with unique abilities who has earned a late acceptance to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. So you're a fifth year who has demonstrated a latent gift for magic with a unique ability to track and identify remnants of a potent ancient power. Upon arrival, strange events begin to materialize in the Forbidden Forest, and trouble begins to brew within the castle walls. Together with Professor Eleazar Fig, you embark on a journey through both familiar and never-before-seen locations. So apparently the features of this game are you get to journey to Hogwarts to become one of 8 different wizard types, experience Hogwarts, make new friends, uncover new secrets, and change the fate of the wizarding world, experience a new magic system that creates countless possibilities to master magic, freely explore the wizarding world for the first time, choose your house and friends at Hogwarts, and decide to pursue a path of good or evil, create your own witch or wizard, and experience an all-new story separate from the books or films. So what do you guys think of this? It kind of sounds like maybe what people thought the Hogwarts Mystery Game would be, and is now what they're trying to give us almost.
So this sounds like what the fans have been wanting for a very long time. And one of the things that struck me out of what you just mentioned was freely explore the wizarding world for the first time, which makes it sound like an open, what do they call it? Gamers? Open world RPG. Yeah. Like a World of Warcraft kind of game. And that is so cool. That's exciting. And I would play the hell out of that.
I don't know if I get the same feeling as a World of Warcraft so much as more of an Elder Scrolls Bethesda type game where it's just a large world and you're not necessarily interacting with other player characters. I think that's the difference that I would get from what I've seen here, unless I missed a line. But yeah, so World of Warcraft is a lot more interacting with a lot of other online players, playing their characters and teaming up and things like that. It'd be cool if they do that. I hope they do. That's would be really, really neat.
Well, see, like World of Warcraft, you can choose people that you kind of align with, and you go on quests with them, things like that. And you can choose to be either Horde or Alliance. Well, with this one, it says choose your house and friends at Hogwarts and decide to pursue a path of good or evil. So that kind of, to me, that sounds like it's along the same lines as that.
Yeah, I guess I could see it going that way.
I am really interested to see how the newly arrived 5th year storyline will play out in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
That is kind of weird, yeah.
Did they not know you had magic? Did your letter get lost?
Yeah, that is kind of strange that you're starting the game as a 5th year student. I mean, obviously it makes more sense to start as a 1st year student, and, you know, as you level through the game, you become 2nd year, 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, until you max out at like 7th year. And I think it would be cool if they were to like provide an expansion pack later on, like the Ministry of Magic expansion pack, to where you
the Wizarding Jobs expansion.
Right. Well, kind of sort of like that. Yeah, like where you go other places and you're able to level up through there. So I'm excited for this game. I like it. From what I've seen on the screenshots, and I haven't seen the video. I'm sure it's up online somewhere. The original Reddit post, I was just browsing through that. They've got several alternative links through that. I don't want to play them because I don't want us to get in trouble with Warner Brothers, but again, the stills look absolutely amazing.
So, pretty excited about this game being a thing. I'm all for it. This seems like a lot of detail for a leak to me. It's pretty clear. I mean, there's a lot of detail there.
And it was a decently long video.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Okay, so yeah, I do have thoughts. So rumors are, the rumor mill, what's going around in the air right now is that the Wizards Unite game is delayed. Right. We haven't heard any confirmation about this or anything. It was supposed to be released this year, right? Which they still have, granted, like 3 months to release it, right? But sources that I'm reading and other online communities are saying that it's not going to be available till like mid next year at the latest. So I think that this is like one of those leaks. Leaks, I'm using air quotes, because it's given the fans something to kind of hope for and hold on to.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I got out of it. And as for Wizards Unite, I am all for. I come from a George R.R. Martin world as well, so I'm all for waiting for the product to come out being the right product. And so with that, I mean, don't rush it just to get it out and have it suck. Like I would rather have them take their time and do the job the right way rather than rush it just to meet a deadline that they promised, but was potentially, there's always hiccups in projects that's going to happen. So I'm more okay with a delay than a bad product. So
yeah, I mean, we've waited this long for it already. What's a little longer?
So my final question to you guys is this going to be an app with in-app purchases, or is it going to be a game that you download, like you download for Steam, or that you play it through an online server? Because I'll be kind of pissed if it's an app, another app that we have to download, if it's going to be like a Mobile Strike kind of game or any of those games to where you can only level up so far and then you have to start buying stuff. You have to start buying extra supplies. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting like 48 days for something to finish building.
Gretchen?
I don't know. I don't know that I want it to be an app, especially because we already have Hogwarts Mystery. It doesn't really sound like an app type of game, so I think I would prefer it to be through Steam or something like that. And it would kind of differentiate it from other games too. Mm-hmm. This sounds like my type of game, so I'd love to be able to play it in the proper format, which to me sounds like the computer.
Now, I wonder, is it going to be on a computer, or are we going to be able to play it on like PlayStation or Xbox, that we just download online or something like that? There's a lot of unknowns. Yeah. There's a lot of things that we don't know.
I'm entirely hoping it is PC/console ready for either and both, and potentially even with opportunities for Oculus Rift and other VR type full VR capabilities. I know some games are switching to having that as an additional add-on to games. Like, hey, you can play this like a normal PC or console game, but there's also like an expansion that you can do to add this other layer that kind of creates it on a more virtual reality type experience, which I still think video games are going to end up being more and more of that over time.
It's interesting. We're going to have to wait and see. I hope that there's more controlled leaks like this out in the future about this game. All right, Gretchen. So Gretchen, what else do we got?
All right, so Universal Orlando released an image kind of promoting their new roller coaster we've talked about a few times. It says the magical new adventure is coming in 2019, and all it kind of shows is like a track leading away from Hogsmeade, and then there's Cornish pixies on it. So it's not much information, but according to MuggleNet, an insider source says it will be the Ministry of Magic, which would be weird to have at Hogsmeade.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. That doesn't really make any sense unless it like can somehow connect Hogsmeade to Diagon Alley, which logistically I've only been once, but I don't think that's possible either.
Yeah.
You know how we thought...
I have issues with the whole idea that it's the Ministry of Magic.
Do tell, Bailey.
I mean, it would make sense if it was coming from the Diagon Alley side, because you're in London. You could conceivably go through the phone booth, you could go through the toilets. But the fact that it's at the Islands of Adventure, it just doesn't make any logistical sense.
See, the point that you're missing, though, this is a Ministry of Magic ATM, it's like a...
But they already have the Gringotts ATMs.
I got nothing then.
So maybe I'm thinking from a logistical standpoint, like the real estate for space... Really, if you look at Diagon Alley, you really can't go anywhere but down, which would make the most sense for the Ministry of Magic, right? But, you can't go, you can go down, you can go up, but you can't really expand because you got the backlot right there, I believe, of Universal Studios. This one, while I'm looking at the poster right now that they released, that Universal released, while I want to believe that it's going to be a Ministry Magic kind of ride, because I don't know what this building is right here, it certainly doesn't look like the Great Hall to me, as we had speculated last week. It looks like a Forbidden Forest kind of ride. And look at all the trees around and things like that. And,
I could see possibly if it's like the Ministry of Magic is looking for something and you're helping. But I don't think that it's going to take place in the Ministry.
This, I want to say, I don't know if this is actually going to be the Forbidden Forest. Maybe maybe the Ministry of Magic is chasing Harry and Ron and Hermione. I don't know. I mean, to me, that just kind of working through it in my head, that would make the most sense if it is something that has to do with the Ministry of Magic. Like you're trying to find something like, maybe you're trying to capture beasts with Newt, and they're going to tie in the whole Wizarding World, the new Wizarding World brand, and this is how they're going to do it.
I don't know.
Very interesting.
I could see the beasts because there's the Cornish pixie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
There's like 3 of them on there.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to tie Newt into this just yet.
Just make it beasts general.
Yeah.
Well, either way.
Which it does seem like they're trying to go to, like Terrance brought up, the full Wizarding World brand. Like, hey, let's make it less character-based and more world-based. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, hey, let's not bring specific characters from the stories into it necessarily. You could. And I'm not saying that they won't, but I think they could easily get away with, hey, let's just make this some kind of adventure for the guests at the park and not a character-based thing.
I'm down with that.
I don't know.
Dragon Challenge
I've never
was
been in
character-based.
Yeah. Well, the dragon was a character.
I guess, but...
Both dragons.
Well done, dragon! Well, either way, go check out.
I'm gonna miss that ride.
Go check out the poster over at MuggleNet on the article. It looks super cool, and I love this concept art that they have for the Wizarding World. Even as far back as the beginning of the Wizarding World park, there was some really cool art of like Hogsmeade and Hogwarts and how everything was going to look super, super cool. So just go check that out. And one more news story for the week.
So, Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald director David Yates has finally kind of backpedaled on his previous statement on Dumbledore's sexuality. So he released a new statement that was in an interview in Empire magazine. And he said, in that earlier interview, I didn't say Dumbledore's not gay. He is. This part of this huge narrative that Joe is creating doesn't focus on his sexuality, but we're not airbrushing it or hiding it. He said that although Dumbledore is not out as a gay man in this film, it will still be obvious to viewers. A couple of scenes we shot are very sensual moments of him and the young Grindelwald. The story of their romance isn't there in this particular movie, but it's clear in what you see that he is gay. The Crimes of Grindelwald is about other things fundamentally, but the story of Grindelwald and Dumbledore going forward, that is the story. What we thought. I don't know why he didn't release a statement earlier. I guess now that we have the new trailer with the stills of looking in the mirror of Erised and seeing Grindelwald, maybe now he's thinking it's a good time to say this.
It seems like they just don't want that to be the only focus on the movie. They're trying to, it's definitely a big part of what's going on, but they still botched the way it happened. Absolutely. They should have just been clearer on what they were trying to say and not be like, oh, it's not explicitly gay, but I don't know, just be like, okay, well, he is, but that's not really the main story that we're telling. It's not a Dumbledore coming out story is what I think maybe he's trying to get out, because they don't want to take away from Newt's story in this portion of it. I don't know. But at least I think it's at least a good time for them to get out finally back on the okay side of this. I don't know.
This sounds like a very coached statement, really, because I mean, he hasn't been the best at giving interviews and answering questions about this particular topic in the past, and I think that that this is a coached statement. Like he was told how to say it. Of course, his original statement, no, he's not explicitly gay, and then kind of left it at that, and really pissed that community off, because it's like, well, then there's no representation. But this is, I like this statement, this new statement, as saying there is representation. We know it, you know it, but as you just said, Luke, it's not going to be like the focal point of the movie. It's not going to be a huge focus. It's just going to be something that's there that everybody knows, but we're not going to, it's not coming out like as fantastically gay and how to find them, things like that. I don't know if that made sense.
Sure. I agree. I think this is a much better statement, and I wish he had said this in the first place, and we could have avoided all this. But I'm happy with this, and I hope this answers questions for people. I mean, the trailer, I think, answered a lot of questions, because we do see that moment, and I love that he says sensual moments, so that's a great choice of words. So I think it's going to be good. It's going to be what it is. We always knew the story wasn't going to be entirely about that. So I think this is an appropriate next step in seeing that relationship and how it's developed in the past and how it's going to develop throughout these films.
Okie doke. And that is all of the news.
That's it for the news.
Yep, that's all the news this week. Of course, we're recording on a Sunday, so we're trying to stay ahead of the news cycle. It's funny. Every time we record early on in the week, we normally record on Thursdays, and the show's released on a Sunday. But it seems like the news cycle starts on Thursdays, so it's real weird. So I'm glad we were able to get out ahead of it this week. Let's get into a discussion a little bit about the Crimes of Grindelwald trailer. Of course, we did a quick fly-through on last week's episode, just kind of highlighting, going frame by frame, really, through it. But now we're going to just dig into it a little bit more. There's a wonderful article from Pottermore called 11 Intriguing Moments from the Third Fantastic Beasts Crimes of Grindelwald trailer from the Pottermore News team. And they kind of bring up a lot of good points. So I thought we would just kind of go one by one through these and get a little bit more depth into the trailer itself. So number one is a safe house in Paris. And again, we kind of touched on this, and the trailer begins with a new secret meetup between Dumbledore and Newt, and discussing Newt's impending trip to Paris. And Dumbledore says, "Hey, go find this safe house. You know, if things go bad." So, Newt just fancies somewhere else he can go for like a cup of tea that Dumbledore kind of suggests to him. And Newt's not really too crazy about the idea. So what I want to talk about is the safe house. What do we think is the safe house? Because Dumbledore just doesn't send people to places for no reason at all. So Pottermore brings up a really interesting point of it being Nicholas Flamel's house. And would he be sending him there to kind of, I don't know, just like have a discussion with Flamel? Like, what does Dumbledore need Flamel for?
Oh, he probably has some pieces of information that Dumbledore's only told to him, and Dumbledore can't be the one to tell anybody, so it has to come from his other source. That seems pretty typical.
Then that just kind of piss you off that Dumbledore just can't go and talk to these people himself. You know, it's just he has to send like Newt, or he always has to send somebody else to do the work for him. He's like the puppet master. You know,
it's like a video game. I mean, the main character can never get a direct answer. It's like, oh, I have this information for you, but first you have to go deliver this letter for me, and then they'll give you a jar of milk that you have to deliver to somebody else. You do them a favor so that you can get the information that you need from them. You just go through all these side quests when the original guy knows the answer. Like, come on, man, just help me out.
Dumbledore just wants to be the puppet master.
I'm imagining Jude Law right now with a bunch of marionette puppets of Newt and Flamel and just dancing back and forth. Like, come here, my little puppets.
Master.
Dance.
Or even better, just J.K. Rowling doing all the puppeteering.
Hey, that actually fits better, right?
I like the idea of a puppet Dumbledore with puppet marionette hands. Then JK's over Dumbledore, and Dumbledore has all the marionette rigs.
This is a great visual. Someone draw this.
100,000 points for Gryffindor.
Marionetteception. Number 2 is Grindelwald's call to arms, and Grindelwald has made a speech in every single trailer that we've seen so far, and of course this one's no different. And he wants witches and wizards to take their rightful place in the world, he says. Join me or die. That's the way he finishes. What an ultimatum. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Well, thanks for skipping right to the point, Grindelwald. Appreciate that. Harry Potter fans know that Grindelwald's obsession with creating a new hierarchy in the wizarding world is what tore him and Dumbledore's friendship apart. Now we're actually seeing that in action as he escapes MACUSA, and we're guessing it's not that easy to escape the American equivalent of the Ministry of Magic, as seen in the fantastic shots in the trailer, the very dangerous shots. I imagine some people lost their lives in this escape. We know that guy, he was in the carriage as it filled with water, and then he was thrown out. But what you didn't see, that he was thrown out at like 30,000 feet in the air or something like that, you know? So safe to say that he is no longer with us. Yeah, absolutely. As we learned in the trailer, Newt is the one lumbered with the task of having to defeat Grindelwald. But why? Why does
Again, back to that Dumbledore puppet master. He clearly knows something.
That's true. Is he? I mean, he can't be raising Newt as a pig for slaughter like he did Harry, because there's no blood curse on Newt.
Well, and he didn't raise Newt.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't raise Newt. Yeah, absolutely. Well,
great point.
Well, to be fair, he was at Hogwarts whenever Newt was at Hogwarts, so, and we know that's how they became good friends. But Grindelwald, I forgot what I was going to say with that. All right, cool beans.
Well, Grindelwald definitely seems to have a very, very clear marketing pitch, right? I mean, it's like just like you were saying, only the Sith deal in absolutes, but it's where he stands, and if he's gaining followers, the people that are on the fence, well, you're either with him or you're not. So I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying it's good marketing.
You can't ever say you didn't know what you were getting into with Grindelwald.
Exactly. Good marketing, good branding for him.
But I didn't know. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I
You
mean,
knew.
how much clearer does he have to be? Join me or die.
Doesn't sound like he's going to be using the Imperious Curse to coerce people or force people to work with him. He actually wants people to actually follow him, is what I get from it, which is a big difference from Voldemort.
Nagini.
He's looking for quality over quantity of followers.
I appreciate that. I respect
Again,
that.
It's just, that's how you...
Your death team.
Let's talk about Nagini. No, not the whole Nagini controversy that went around with this trailer. But let's just talk about Nagini in general. Our first moment of this trailer reveals that Claudia Kim's mysterious circus attraction character can turn into a snake and is revealed to be Nagini. So previously, this character has only been dubbed the Maledictus, which is a witch who carries a blood curse that ultimately turns him into a beast forever. I wonder how that curse comes about. That's interesting. Like, how are you born with that? Is that, are you bitten by somebody or scratched with somebody or take a potion to get this blood curse?
You are born with it. She said that it passes from mother to daughter, but I don't know. It's like the whole chicken and egg thing. Like who got the blood curse first? Were you born with it and then passed it on? Or did someone curse you and then you passed it on? I'm curious about the
or
origin.
Was it just a really unfortunate combination of genes?
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maledictus. No, this feels very much like a fairy tale type curse. It feels a lot like Sleeping Beauty or like any of those where, hey, you're cursed as a baby as retribution for something your parents did to upset the wild witch in the the witch in the wilds kind of deal, like a Maleficent type deal, and it becomes something that is passed on and on and on. That's the feeling I get from hereditary curses. It's something that tends to be called, someone did something and this was like a retribution for something else, and now that's just the curse carrying on from there. I total guess, but that's the feeling I get from it.
But how sad is this? Like, you're born with something you can't even control, and it ultimately consumes you. You know what's going to happen. You probably don't know when it's going to happen, but you know that it's going to happen. That's incredibly tragic. Let's see. Let's talk about number 4, The Room of Many Questions. And this is the room that we've seen in the past 2 trailers. Tina Goldstein is briefly seen in a lit-up room covered in mysterious calculation, words, and pictures of faces. This is the one that's in the underground that we got the family tree from. This is actually our clearest shot in this trailer so far. If you notice the words of Credence Barebone on the wall behind Tina, and another name above, Corvus Lestrange. Now, we already know that Leta Lestrange will feature prominently in the film, so we can assume Corvus is the father. I think that's like the major takeaway from that tree, that family tree that we have so far. Like, he's... I wouldn't say he's an uncle or anything like that. Let me see if I can pull it up, make it a large screen here. Yes, Corvus Lestrange. Actually, I don't know how we got that father. Huh.
Theories.
Yeah, theories. I don't know. There's really not too much new information in this that we haven't known before. Does anybody have any thoughts on it?
No, I'm still just curious where exactly this is and why it exists. So it sparked my interest. I'm excited to see it in the movie.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one.
The puns are strong with this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Queenie's foul play. This is punny. We briefly see Queenie curiously reaching out to a raven symbol. Now, the usually cheery Queenie has been looking very troubled during the trailer so far. Is she all right? Does she need a hug, a cup of cocoa? We still haven't seen any scenes of her and Jacob together. This is like one of the big things, and we talked about it last week. I think we've talked about it in previous episodes of her possible alliance, and I put a poll out on Twitter a few days ago, and a lot of people seem to think that she is under like some sort of curse, or she's being blackmailed into doing whatever it is that she's doing.
Yeah, that's the feeling I've gotten from it. She's doing this against her own wishes. She feels pressured into it, or potentially being magically controlled to do it. I have a hard time knowing the character that Queenie was in the first movie that she would ever have a cruel or not the nicest intention thing ever with any action she's taking.
What do you guys believe? Do you think that she is under some sort of a curse, or is she just, we don't know her and she is working with the other side? Is she a double agent? These are so many questions.
I think if she is working with the other side, it's not of her own choice.
Okay.
I think we got the true Queenie in the first film.
I feel the same.
Agreed.
Let's move on to number 6. Really not too much to talk about with this one. The Great Hall. We'd recognize those floating candles anywhere. That shot. Wonderful shot of the Great Hall. It's nice to see it in one piece. We already know that we're heading back to Hogwarts, but really our hearts did a miniature leap when we saw the Great Hall. So wonderful to see it again. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of Hogwarts throughout the movie. I don't know how much of it we're going to be seeing. Maybe we're only going to be seeing just like maybe 5 minutes of it. Obviously, the story's not centered around Hogwarts as that one location, but nonetheless, it's great to see it. Number 7, the young Grindelwald and Dumbledore. So it's only for a split second, but we see young Grindelwald's piercing stare. And in the previous trailer, it was revealed that Dumbledore sees Grindelwald in the Mirror of Erised. But on what occasion... I'm sorry. But on that occasion, we saw Johnny Depp's older incarnation. This one, we're seeing the younger one. Do we think that Dumbledore is having kind of like this internal struggle where he goes to visit the Mirror of Erised on a regular basis and just kind of remind himself, hey, this is why I can't go after Grindelwald. I can't kill him because I still love him.
So I think it's, I'm hoping that it actually is going to play a larger part in the story, because otherwise I don't know why it's there except to give us some sort of like inner thing for Dumbledore, which I love. And I really loved seeing the young actors here because I think they're fantastic and I'm happy to have them back. But I'm curious if it's more of a, when he was younger, he had to do something with the mirror and thus he looked into it and saw him. And now when he's older, he has to do something else. Like he needs to find it for Flamel or something because they use the Mirror of Erised and Sorcerer's Stone. And so it's just kind of a coincidence that he looks into it. I'm hoping it plays into the bigger part of the story while also giving us these really cool little character moments.
Dumbledore has this fascination with the Mirror of Erised because he takes it with him to Hogwarts in his later years. And it's to where he can. It's like his comfort item, or his emotional support item. where he can go. He knows, he's like the only one that knows where this mirror is, and he goes to, visit. Not really visit, but to kind of remind himself on a regular basis of what his deepest desire was. But I think in all of this, he kind of understands the mirror's properties, and that's why he might hang on to it, and that's why he might visit it a lot. That he really understands the mirror's magic, and that's how he's able to, put the Sorcerer's Stone into Harry's pocket in book 1. But I think that there's
just me, or does it seem kind of backwards if Dumbledore's whole goal is to defeat Grindelwald, and then he keeps going to the mirror and looking at Grindelwald?
There's definitely an internal struggle with Dumbledore happening.
That's why I'm hoping it's part of the larger plot, because I don't think it makes any sense for him to just pop in and say, "Oh yeah, I love him. Never mind."
Let's move on to number 8. We have more new magic. We can expect the new film to introduce us to all sorts of new exciting spells and magical phenomena. Judging on what we see in this trailer, we've seen it in others. Remember Dumbledore's magic floating glove? I actually don't remember that. Does anybody remember a floating glove?
Floating glove. I don't remember a floating glove.
I don't remember that.
That must have been one of those blink and you miss it moments.
Well, I must have blinked a lot because I sure as hell missed that. This trailer teases.
Blinked a lot.
You know what, guys? Next trailer. I'm just not going to blink. All right, just not going to blink at all.
Use some toothpicks and pry your eyes open.
This trailer teases more fantastical things, such as some mysterious black banners floating around Paris, which Luke, you said was a lethifold in last trailer.
Yeah.
That's neat.
I think Gretchen and I were on that boat for sure.
Yeah. Another scene sees Grindelwald encased in a golden orb, which was, at the beginning, while locked in a prison cell. A level of protection, perhaps, and later we also see a gentleman walk through a wall, but a little differently to how Harry and everybody else would do it to go through the barrier to platform 9 3/4. So,
right,
maybe
yeah, I was like, it was a little less walking through a wall, more like crushing yourself through a wall, like gradually.
I would love it if that's the entrance to the safe house and like there's no door per se. Like unless you know it's there, you're never gonna get in.
That's true. Yeah, I like that. With regards to this, I mean, we've only seen one aspect of the Wizarding world, right? We've only seen it through Harry's point of view, and it's so much larger, right? There's so many more beasts, so much more magic than what we will probably ever know. And we've only gotten one additional movie outside of Harry's world, and outside of Harry's perspective. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing like this cool new magic, what used so casually. It's just like a normal thing for other witches and wizards to, as they go about their day-to-day lives. Number 9, poor Jacob tries out a portkey. This is one of the more amusing moments. I mean, I hope Jacob doesn't turn into comedy relief. I really don't want that. But it seems like out of just the small snippets that we've gotten, yeah, he's going to be comedy relief. Because last time he got to meet Nicholas Philomel, and he was like, "Oh, you don't look a day over 600 or whatever he said." This time, he's trying out the portkey, and he is freaked out by it. It looks like. I don't know. I just don't. I don't want.
The least.
I don't want Jacob to turn out to be this goofy kind of sidekick.
I just don't know how he wise, because he only fit into the first movie because they had switched briefcases.
Right.
So I don't know what role he's going to have to play in this one.
I could see him having like a non-magical perspective that helps the magic users to better understand the situation.
So something I kind of thought about whenever we were discussing what is going on with Queenie. What if there is a threat to Kowalski? You know, what if he is, I don't know, maybe there's like some kind of ransom type detail, or I know we see him going around, but maybe there's a threat against him that she knows about, and they're basically, whoever's doing that is using her abilities to prevent something bad happening to him.
That's actually a really good point. I never thought of that the way that Queenie's acting is because there's a threat to Jacob. That's really interesting. And that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, she feels like she's trying to protect him, right? And he doesn't know about it because he's just going around with Newt or whatever. But there could be a subplot going on that the viewer, that we see, that Queenie knows, and she has to do these potentially disturbing things in her mind to help prevent dangerous things happening to him. And that, I think, kind of goes to, she's doing it for good intentions, even though she knows it might not be the good thing to do, but she's conflicted. To me, it feels like it fits a lot of the issues we've seen, the anguish in her face.
It's very true. We do know that she is a caring person and she cares deeply for Jacob. So that'll be, that's interesting to see. And that's probably why Jacob's in the film, because Queenie, it wouldn't make sense to have Queenie there otherwise. Number 10, Kappa. Look at that in one shot. And we thought this magical gold dusting, glittery fairy thing looked like a golden Groot or something like that we see Newt with. In one shot, Newt is accompanied by a ghost-like creature with a mushroom-shaped head emitting a golden shimmer. No, it's not Tinkerbell. It's actually a Kappa, which was originally brought up in Harry's Defense Against Dark Arts class as a dangerous water demon, and I did not remember that. So
yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember them being a spiritual thing. I mean, a demon, yeah, but that's why I never would have thought this is a Kappa, because water demon.
So what is this Kappa doing above ground if he's a water creature, and why does he look so ghostly? There might be some sort of new magic that we just talked about going on here. Of course, a bunch of
sparkle glitter magic.
Sparkle glitter magic, yeah.
Sparkle glitter magic, baby.
That's it. I wonder if this guy, like this Kappa, sprinkles like this dust on you. If you think happy thoughts, if you can fly. I don't know.
Or maybe if it makes you hallucinate.
Yes.
What else is sparkle glitter magic good for?
Eyeshadow.
Oh.
Yes.
What?
Stays all day.
Don't they put it...
Well, I'm done for the day. Thanks, guys. Good work.
Don't they put those like in bath bombs from Lush or something?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know why I thought of that. Sorry. And number 11, oh brother. That was funny. So we had this inkling from the previous trailers that Newt and his brother Theseus might not be displaying much brotherly love in this film, with what with us knowing that Theseus is now engaged to Newt's former friend Lita Lestrange. Now, the trailer definitely confirms their animosity, especially whenever Tina gleefully ties up Theseus with magical ropes, and Newt claims it to be the best moment of his life. I don't know why that came out in an accent for me. Well, this is going to be fun as the wait continues, but not for much longer. This, I think we've kind of talked about this in previous trailers as well, that there's this Percy Weasley-esque thing about Theseus, and then he might ultimately turn to be like on the good side after everything's done. after everything's all said and done. But he might be that unfortunate casualty that might happen at Grindelwald's hand in this particular movie. So any thoughts about Theseus?
Yeah, I think this is going to be, obviously Newt is kind of our main character for at least this film. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to be a big portion of that. Obviously, we've had references, allusions to Lito Lestrange last movie, and potentially not a good relationship with his brother. So I feel like this is going to be a big part of what the main narrative is going through, for what the main narrative. I think that there's going to be a ton of other side things going on with everything else we've already talked about.
The time is coming when you're going to have to pick a side. No, I don't do sides.
I do entrees only, please.
Sides, not entrees.
And sometimes a starter.
Entrees, not sides.
And definitely dessert.
Definitely dessert. 2 desserts, please. Second breakfast, please.
I feel like
about 11s.
I feel like that quote is very dangerous for Newt to say. But at the same time, it's more of him saying, I'm not a part of this. I'm staying out of it. I just care about my beasts and, finding a safe haven for them.
I think you could take it in a way that he's trying to say, I'm not too worried about whose side I'm on. I'm going to do what's right, regardless of who agrees with me. Mm-hmm. Because, there may be 2 sides, and you may agree with some parts of each side a little bit, but not entirely. And you're going to do what's morally right to yourself. And that's how I kind of take that, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't choosing what's right also choosing a side, just not choosing a person's side?
I think that's, I mean, you're correct. But I think he's trying to, there's probably a question that the context of the statement he's responding to is probably like, hey, you have to choose either Dumbledore's side or Grindelwald's side. Like, you're going to have to choose. And Newt's probably just like, I'm not going to, no. Like, I'm just going to keep doing what's right. If the people on one side agree with me more, that's good on you.
I feel like as we get to know Newt a little bit more, that he's the one that came up with the quote, the time of choosing what's right over what's easy. It's easy for Newt to kind of step aside, and just kind of turn a blind eye to what's going on. But ultimately, is it the right thing? And that might become something that he realizes. And whenever he has one of his heart-to-hearts with Dumbledore, that might be something that he kind of schools Dumbledore on, I feel like. And with that, we'll leave you with that final thought for the week. We are out of time on this week's episode of Hogwarts Radio. We want to thank all of our patrons who support us. If you're not a Patreon, head over to patreon.com/HogwartsRadio. You can sign up today and get started and view all of our past show documents, recordings, much, much more. And as a reminder, you can stay up to date with us over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Terrance Pinkston.
I'm Bailey Riddle.
I'm Luke Hogan.
And I'm Gretchen Rush.
And that does it for episode 216. We'll be back next week with episode 217. Bye-bye.
That was bloody brilliant.
Codswallop.